This weekend in Washington, D.C., the Yankees will take on the Nationals. Should be one of the best matchups in baseball currently. The Yankees are in first place in the AL East and have the best record in the American League, while the Nationals have the second best record in all of baseball. I'm Mark Hale. I want to welcome in George King, our Yankee beat writer. And George, when you look at this matchup, I know it's early, obviously we're in mid-June, but when you look at where the Yankees are and you look at where the Nationals are, do you think this is an early World Series preview? Do you think these are two teams that are World Series caliber in each league?
Well, I mean, we talk about it early, but we're into the middle of June, and you'd have to think that if you're leading the American East in the middle of June, that you're on the right path. To say the Yankees are a World Series caliber team right now, it might be a little bit premature. I think you've got to realize they've gotten a little bit fat here against some teams that really don't have great lineups. And when interleague play comes around, the Yankees always play well. The Nationals, we're going to have to see. I mean, they have a lot of very young, talented players, with the key word being young. I think they've benefited by the fact that Utley and Howard have not been part of the Philly thing yet, and that Atlanta's pitching has been up and down. But again, if you're in the middle of June and you're leading you're leading two pretty good divisions, we're not talking about weak divisions here. I think they've got to obviously be in the mix. Might not be too early to think that way, but it might be too early to crown these guys the American League and National League champions.
All right, George, one of the key issues or key guys who's going to be in the spotlight this weekend is going to be Bryce Harper. He's statistically the best hitter on the Nationals right now, and yet he's only 19 years old. George, you've been covering baseball a long time. What are you hearing, and what are people saying about what this kid can do?
Well, I mean, if he was 22 years old, I don't think the buzz would be as much. But the fact that he's, the age that he is. But to be honest with you, there's more of a buzz about Trout out in the Angels. He's a year older. He's got a little more experience. But I mean, if you're 19 years old, you're in the big leagues. That's one thing. If you're 19 years old in the big leagues and producing the way Bryce Harper is, that's another thing. They lost Jason Worth, and this kid has, stepped into the void there probably a little bit more than everybody expected.
All right, George, one of the guys the Yankees will get back off the disabled list tonight is David Robertson, one of their best relief pitchers. He's missed over a month with a ribcage injury. When he comes back, he's going to be the eighth inning reliever, not the closer. You think that's the right move for this team?
Oh, yes, especially the way Soriano has pitched. And it's easy to see that Soriano's a different personality on the mound when he's closing games than when he's pitching the eighth and the seventh as he was last year. As far as as well as he's been pitching, I think it'd be a foolish move to put Robertson back in the closer's role for two reasons. One, you'd be taking out a guy who's pitching well, and two, Robertson's success last year came as an eighth inning guy. Mm-hmm. So he's going back to a place where he's pitched very well. It's definitely the right move.
George, so far in June, the Yankee starters have a 2.17 combined ERA. All five of them, CC Sabathia, Hiroki Kuroda, Andy Pettitte, Phil Hughes, and Ivan Nova, are all pitching well. The July 31st trading deadline is about 6-7 weeks away. Do you think with the way this rotation's pitching right now that the Yankees are now less likely to go after a starter, or do you still think this team goes after pitching before the deadline?
Well, if they pitch this way, I mean, if they pitch this well for 6 or 7 weeks, the answer is no. The chances of them all pitching this way for 6 or 7 weeks are very slim. So, as always, they'll be interested. But you've got to realize what happened last year too is they needed pitching and they didn't do anything. So it's not like it was 5, 6, 10 years ago when the Yankees targeted the best pitcher available and added him at any cost of players and/or money. Last year they didn't do anything, and if this staff pitches like this, or stays healthy, you've got some age on it. So I think they'll be looking for pitching because of one of these guys will be ineffective or one or more will be hurt. But if they pitch like this for another 6, 7 weeks, and there really is there'll be no room to add anybody.
Right. All right, it'll be Yankees and Nationals tonight in D.C. George will be there to watch and chronicle this first-place matchup. You can read everything he writes on nypost.com, and we'll have a lot more with George, obviously, as the season goes on. I'm Mark Hale. Thanks for watching.